Hello everyone, we today are doing our final preview for the Stanley Cup playoffs, that of course being the Stanley Cup final. And we will be talking about the preview for the Avalanche versus the Lightning. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're new and you want to see more hockey content. Now let's get started. And to kick it off, we'll be doing a brief summary of how these teams got here in the playoffs, and we will be beginning with Colorado. The Avalanche were the top seed in the West for a reason. They were able to finally break through this kind of playoff issues they had, and they reached the final for the first time since 2001 by beating the Nashville Predators in 4, the St. Louis Blues in 6, the Edmonton Oilers in 4, and that was really just crucial for them as they took down a Connor McDavid-led team to have a nice, easy route for the final round. That was kind of nice for them, I'm sure. As for Tampa Bay, it is their third straight dance on hockey's biggest stage, getting here by getting out a 7-win series against the Maple Leafs before sweeping the regular season's best team, that being the Florida Panthers, and then coming back from a 2-0 series deficit in the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Rangers to win in 6 games. And make no mistakes, these are two of the better teams in the league in a matchup that we could say we've expected for months, or at least one of the most anticipated, most likely matchups. So, what are some of the storylines / narratives, factors, stuff like that we should expect in this series? The first one is going to be injuries here, and the impacts of this one will be obvious for both sides. The two players we should primarily focus on here will be Nazem Kadri of the Colorado Avalanche and Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, fortunately for Colorado, Kadri will probably not play in this playoff, the remainder of the playoffs. At least it looks like it. Now, there have been reports he will play for the Cup, but I'm curious to see if he will, and then how will he play in order to try to make a positive impact for his team. It is one thing to want to play for your team, but if you are, not in a spot where you can help your team out, it might be the better thing to sit it out. I think he could play. We'll have to see. Obviously, the Avs would love to have him, and he does make this amazing Colorado team that much deeper. And it's not even a sense of always a depth guy, because he is a top-line caliber player. But I just don't know yet what we're going to see for him. He is a major offensive force, and should he be able to play relatively well, his presence will be huge for Colorado, just because, let's say he's only at 80%, which is, a made-up number. Let's say he's at 80%. Maybe even if he's not doing what he normally is, he's kind of a distraction to Tampa Bay in how they're trying to do things defensively. And you really just want to see them be able to have a good shot at this and not have to worry about a major injury impacting whether or not they would have won it. Now, Colorado has wanted to gain that edge here. As for Tampa Bay, you have Braden Point. Point is kind of seen as the balancing force to be kind of in Tampa Bay's favor. Of course, he hasn't played since Game 7 of the first round against Toronto, and John Cooper could just really use him. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely impressive what Tampa's been able to do up to this point without one of the best centers in the game, but now they could really just use him. Without Kadri, Point's return was supposed to give the Bolts a jolt in the arm for their lineup. Now with Colorado possibly having their veteran back, you really do need him to come back. He's a guy that can score goals down low and has really been the Lightning's primary goal scorer their past 2 Stanley Cup runs. Luckily for the fans of the Florida team, it does seem like he should be able to finally return, but, after hearing that so often, I really do think that I would have to see it to believe it, because I remember you just see, the things where he's coming back, but he never did come back, so we'll have to see. Now, the next thing here for the Lightning, or a big storyline factor here, is getting other guys to score. Last round, the Rangers, the Kucherov, Watts, Stamkos line combined for 8 of Tampa Bay's 14 non-empty net goals. That's all good and dandy when you're playing an inexperienced and very top-heavy team like the Rangers, but against Colorado, it just won't work. And to give you an idea of how wild last round was for the 2-time champs, take this into consideration. During the regular season, Anthony Cirelli, Ross Colton, Brennan Hagel, and Victor Hedman and Alex Killorn all combined to score 109 goals on 813 shots for a shooting percentage of 13.4. Against New York, 1 goal on 71 shots for a shooting percentage of 1.4%, and the lone goal came up against an empty netter. I think, there is more to it than, these guys just aren't scoring. There always is more to it in sports. But the reality is you cannot have these guys hit a cold streak on the biggest stage. You need at least 1, 2, probably even 3 of these guys to show up and help out alleviate, this scoring issue at the moment. Now, again, some teams it could work. We're able to get this group, this very good line for Tampa Bay to win. But I just don't know if you're going to beat, well, I do know you're not going to beat Colorado if it's just a one-line case where you're scoring those goals. Now, for the final part, I'd say a big factor here, and if you're new to the channel and you didn't expect this is what it's going to be, because this is what I usually talk about a lot. Goaltending. It's going to have to be goaltending, and this is really a thing that favors Tampa Bay in this regard. Not many goalies can match the pedigree and the experience of Andrei Vasilevskiy currently that are in the NHL. Darcy Kuemper will likely have to be the guy opposing him in net. I don't know if he will start or not. That worries me a bit since Canadian product hasn't exactly been dominant during this postseason stretch. Now, I think the good thing for Colorado is they have the ability to switch to Pavel Francouz, but we'll have to keep an eye out for that, because I could see if Darcy has a bad game, they go to Francouz earlier. But if I'm being completely honest, and I think I checked a depth chart the other day, they've got Pavel over Darcy, which I'm not even going to say is a bad thing here, because Darcy has not exactly been dominant during the postseason. As for Vasi, he's had some shaky moments. We really will, say there has been some games that haven't been great, but he's been really solid for stretches. You look at what he did against Florida, and you look at his past 4 games, and I really don't like to use goals against average as a sole thing for just like looking at goalies, but if you look at his past 4 games, his goals against average is 1.25 against the Rangers in 4 really big games for Tampa Bay. If Tampa Bay wants to three-peat, a lot of the responsibility or a lot of the the fate of this rests on Vasilevskiy's shoulders, especially considering the shooters and the opportunity that Colorado has when they create with their offense. So having said all this, I have to make a pick, and trust me, this was hard. You have 2 really good teams. This is not like the past 2 years. We have Dallas playing Tampa Bay and then Montreal playing Tampa Bay. This is a team that probably will stand toe to toe and is favored over the Lightning. So I'm going to pick the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7. I don't like this pick at all. I feel like this is a pick I'll regret. But as for now, even though everything in my body is screaming Colorado, I'm going to go with the with the Lightning, because of Vasilevskiy. I do expect Bednar's guys to generate more chances, more breakaway opportunities, odd man rushes. But I do think, when you have to pick a series and you say what could change the factor of the series the most, goaltending. Do I trust Kuemper? No, I don't. Do I trust Francouz? Probably, but I do think that if you really need a guy to just lock it down, and if you had a goalie that got hot in a series, who would it be? Andrei Vasilevskiy. We will have to see, though, and I just have this gut feeling that he will be making the crucial stops for Tampa Bay moving forward for their 3rd straight cup. But this is all assuming that Braden Point returns and is able to play at his level of play. If not, then obviously I was going to go with Colorado, and I was actually going to say Colorado in 6 before I changed it in my notes at the end, so we'll see. We'll have to see. But yeah, this is a time where I get to see a great matchup as well as you guys, and I expect plenty of back and forth hockey. I think we're going to see some great tic-tac-toe passing. I think we're going to see great passing in general. We're going to see a lot of back and forth just all around. So best of luck to both teams, but now it's time to hear who you would pick. Make sure to comment down below who will win and in how many games. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Everybody stay safe, have a great night, and go with hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.